Not sure if you're aware of this, but today is New Year's Day in the lunar calendar. If you're not aware, it is also Year of the Dragon. I don't know about you, but Year of the Dragon sounds interesting. Let's see what happens. So again, Happy New Year, Lunar New Year, again, Year of the Dragon. Let's get into the daily financial news. This is obviously a surprise Saturday session. We are 1 week out from our 50,000 celebration next week, and I just wanted to say hello and give you the Saturday daily financial news as a surprise gesture. A couple of things to talk about. First and foremost, the S&P 500 closed over 5,000 for the first time. If you've been watching the playlist with Mr. Dan Bird, you know he has been talking about getting to that number, and then maybe a pullback is due. We've got negative divergence and all of that stuff. Certainly be looking forward to his update tomorrow to see what the charts and information is telling us. Let's talk about the commercial real estate market. I'm not sure if you caught the hour-long conversation with Jonathan Twomley this week. If not, and you're interested in commercial real estate, I highly recommend checking it out. Basically, during that discussion, we break down with numbers and LTVs that while the commercial pain, especially in multifamily, is going to be massive, there is going to be hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in equity lost. The banks may not be the catastrophic or cataclysmic ending. Now, in fairness, there are some that have poor risk management. They are over-rotated or over-indexed on a specific area or a specific asset. But in general, the widespread collapse may not be what we feared. So let me give you some numbers. You can write these down and really play this out. And again, this is really different than the residential Great Recession crash you and I know because we've been through it. And that really goes back to step one. Commercial loans are not high leverage like residential, right? We saw 0 down VA. We've seen 1% down programs. We've seen 3.5%. We've seen 5%. We've seen all those in residential. In commercial, an aggressive loan is 80%. Most of the banks out there were doing 75, many 70 and 65. So the first thing to realize, while there is a lot of pain and a lot of money is going to be lost, it will be the equity first. So we learned last week during the daily financial news that there is over $2 trillion, I think the number was $2.3 trillion in commercial loans set to reset by 2027. What I want to do just for easy math is I want to say there's 2 trillion, okay? Just so you and I can see how the numbers will work out. Let's assume inside that 2 trillion that the average equity position was 35%. That's just an average. What that means is there's 700 billion in equity. That means LPs or investors put down 700 billion. That means the loan or the debt is 1.3 trillion. Okay, hopefully you're with me so far. Now, because of higher rates, higher taxes, higher insurance, lower occupancy, you know the story. It's a bloodbath. These properties fall in value. But here's the deal. They have to fall by more than 35% before the bank is impaired. Now, you and I are undoubtedly hearing stories about properties falling 40 or 45 or 50%. So I'm not here to say the banks are going to get away free and clear, right? They're going to suffer pain. But it is my opinion, my guess, that most of these banks or these institutions can suffer a 3, a 4, a 5, an 8, a 10% write-down. It won't be fun. They will certainly be impaired, but it won't be time to close up shop. Because again, the equity gets hit first. And then here's the deal. This is what Jonathan and I broke down. This is why you have heard me repeatedly say, I want to repeat what we did in One Rental at a Time. I've been buying residential properties for the last 4 or 5 years because I want to 1031 into multifamily when there's blood in the streets. So let's just play a game again together. Let's assume the banks sell these properties for 1.3 trillion. Okay, remember they bought for 2, they wiped out the equity, they now foreclose, and they want to let them go at 1.3. They're going to loan on those new assets, but they're going to be hypersensitive and very risk averse. So they're going to do a 65% LTV. What does that mean? Well, that means they're going to loan $840 billion. There's going to be $460 billion, I'm rounding, $460 billion in new equity. This is why I will 1031 out of expensive houses into multifamily, paying no IRS taxes and no new capital, right? It's all equity. Now what do we have? We have banks that at one point had, $1.3 trillion in debt. They now have $840 billion on assets that one time sold for $2 trillion. Their new LTV to old values is 44%. And now the new buyer, in this case, hopefully me, I could hold for a year or two, let all of this wash out, and we go on our merry way to higher values. So at the end, I am still convinced there's a lot of pain, but I now believe most of the pain, call it 80%, maybe even 85%, will be felt by the equity, not debt. Again, just so I'm clear, there will be some banks that are over-rotated to a specific area or a specific asset, and they will be in trouble. But this won't be an extinction level event for commercial lending, in my opinion. What else is going on? We heard about Cisco Systems and Tesla. Both of them appear to be on the cusp of more layoffs. We have talked for years now about if you are in an industry, you got to get close to revenue, you have to get close to consumers, right? The customer. You have to put your hand on revenue. If you are in special projects or you are in moonshot projects, be careful. We've already seen Alphabet, aka Google, shut those down. If you are not touching revenue today, be careful. Again, if this is coming to Cisco and Tesla, it appears to not be over. Read an interesting article where the economist Jack Farley talking about the Chinese real estate market already suffering 8 trillion, that's with a T, trillion won in pain. And it's not over yet. The deflation going on in China, both at the CPI, PPI inflation and assets, is just beginning. It's going to be years. I believe that the pain, once counted, will be much bigger than what we saw in the GFC. I heard about a building in Ohio. It was the old FedEx office. 262,000 square foot office. It was sold for $9 a square foot. It was sold for $2.4 million. I want to ask you this. $9 a square foot. What I would think about doing, again, I don't know, but I would definitely do the math, is what if we scrap the building, we recycle the parts? How much do you think we could get for that? Cement, copper, whatever inside? I don't know, but it's got to be, what, $3 a foot? Something. There's got to be some value there. Then what we could do is take the lot, divide up the lot, and make some money there. It seems $9 a square foot for a massive office, 262,000 square foot, It seems to me there's some money to be made there, even if you scrap the building and recycled it. Pretty wild to think about. Read an interesting article about Morgan Housel. He's written a couple of great books. I need to crack them open. I got them. They're actually on my nightstand. I need to read those. But he talked about getting really wealthy. He highlights there are 3 things to getting really wealthy. 1, you have to have endurance. I'm like, endurance? What do you mean by that? Basically, you have to be able to not have short-termism. It's kind of the, marshmallow test. You have to delay gratification. And you have to do it for a while. So he calls it endurance. Next, you have to have a high tolerance for pain. I thought that was an interesting characteristic. What does he mean by that? It means it's going to be bumpy. You're going to sacrifice. You're going to have bad days. It's going to get ugly. We talk about that a lot on this channel, especially the first 5 years. It is slow. You have things break. The cash flow doesn't pay for a water heater or whatnot. And then you do have to have a little luck. Timing, execution, all of those things. So again, according to Morgan Housel, the 3 ways to get really, really wealthy. Read an article about a 32-year-old millennial who quit her dream job to travel the world. She spent $34,000 traveling the world for 18 months. These are her 4 lessons learned. 1, she was worried about money too much and could not enjoy the journey. When you are living on a budget and you are not having any income come in, money is a stressor. Number 2, she spent her life savings, which means she has delayed other goals. She needs to save for buying a home. She needs to save for this or that. So she has taken her life savings, I don't know that she'd say blown it, but spent it, and now needs to start over. Number 3, she needs to start investing from scratch. Money's gone, have to start over. And then number 4, I thought was interesting. She was careless with her belongings. Apparently on multiple occasions, while out in foreign countries, she was pickpocketed or had stuff stolen, which obviously was not a lot of fun, but she had to do that. So again, I thought it was interesting. It didn't really get into the fact whether she would do it again or not, but I thought it was interesting. We've heard a lot about folks saying, hey, I'm going to quit and travel. This is someone who quit her dream job and did just that. A couple of earnings announcements we should talk about just as we wrap this up. We had Affirm. We talked about that over the weekend. I wanted to watch that. They beat top line, beat bottom line. I did not notice an increase in reserve for bad debt. I don't know if it was hidden somewhere else, but I did not see that. So Affirm seems to be enjoying some growth. Expedia, another one that I said I wanted to watch because I didn't know if travel was continuing. And boy, oh boy, did they disappoint. Expedia's gross bookings disappointed and had weak airline travel. So it appears, again, first blush, that this desire to travel the world is finally pulling back. Pinterest pulled a snap where they missed on revenue, gave a weak outlook. Again, we are really seeing a clear divergence, I think, in the social media brands on ads. Right? We had Meta and Amazon do great. You had Snap and Pinterest do bad. It seems to be going that direction. And then the last thing to talk, Pepsi. Pepsi missed on revenue, but hit on earnings. Their net sales fell 5%. Again, Pepsi we want to watch because it's not only soda, but also Frito-Lay for snacks. And then lastly, we got an update on CPI for December. It's actually lower than expected. So again, folks, we are 1 week away from the event. I just checked and we have one general admission ticket left. Most of you will have to sign up for the virtual meeting. I think I'm going to shut that down on Wednesday so that I can focus on the rest of the event. So if you want to join virtually, you need to buy in the next couple of days, as I will shut down the registration or whatever they call it on Wednesday. so that I could take a breath on Thursday and get ready to execute Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So folks, I hope you have an amazing day. Happy Lunar New Year for those that you celebrate. We are now in the year of the dragon, which hopefully is a great year for all of you. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye.